Hey, so today I'm going to talk about the scientific method that I use to cure my anxiety that was causing me to not pass college and not be able to get a job. But now I've overcome that anxiety, and so this is the scientific method now that I used to help me cure that anxiety. Before, in my previous video, I talked about a fact versus an opinion and the natural versus the supernatural and objective versus subjective observations. And so if you don't know those examples, you can refer back to the previous video. And I did make it like a clickbait video. It was called I Saw a Creeper Explode a Cow IRL. Okay, so anyway, yeah, now I kind of understand, like, if you didn't play the game, you wouldn't get the why I did that for a thumbnail. Okay, anyway, now on to the scientific method. Okay, so the 7 steps are, I'll use my pointer, and now I remember this is like going back. These are the props that I used when I was still making Baby Yoshi vlogs. Okay, but now I just decided it should be better to just talk about what I did to get over the anxiety without doing the Baby Yoshi vlogs. Okay, so the 7 steps are: 1, problem; 2, hypothesis; 3, materials; 4, procedure; 5, observation; 6, conclusion; and 7, evaluation. And then I added some of the research questions. Okay, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And then what do you mean? Okay, and then how do you know that? Where did you get your info, and what if you're wrong? And so right now I'm just going to talk about step 1, the problem. So now let's say the problem, well, first, the problem in the scientific method means it answers a question like, what do you want to discover? Or what problem do you want to solve? Okay, so for example, let's say, I feel tired and I want to find out what I can do to not be so tired anymore. So that would answer the question, what do I want to discover? Now remember though, in science we can only test things that are observable and measurable. So you have to think, if you want to be able to test this and do an experiment, your problem has to be stated in a way that is observable and measurable. So right now, we kind of have a vague problem. Okay, I just said I want to find out what I can do not to be so tired anymore. Well, now I have to be more specific, like I have to come up with something, like what do I want to do? What do I want to test to not be so tired anymore? So, numbers are a good way to measure. So we can throw in some numbers. So let's say if I think I can use, let's say if I want to say if I will be tired from Okay, I need some time to think. It's okay. It's okay. So now let's see if I want to say, okay, what can I say to test it? I can say if I want to sleep 7 to 8 hours versus 5 to 6 hours. Okay, that can be something that can be those measurable. And so now anyway, okay, so yeah, first you might struggle with the problem. You want to make sure you want to phrase it in a way that is clear and that can be tested, okay? So sometimes you're gonna have to stop and think about it like I am now. Okay, so I want to find out if I will be less tired if I sleep 8 to 7 hours versus 5 to 6 hours. Okay? So there, that we finally phrased the question, and so you see how that can be observed and we can test it. Okay? And it's measurable. Okay, so so some of the research questions, what do you mean? And we asked some of those. Okay, so let's see. Guess I have some time now. I'll talk about the hypothesis. So the second step is the hypothesis. So it should be, what do you predict will happen, or what do you think will happen after doing the experiment? So in this case, I can say I think that I will sleep better if I sleep for 8 to 7 hours. Okay? And that's the hypothesis. So step 3 is the material. So what do we need to do this experiment? Maybe we can just write down our results on paper. We don't need any special equipment. Okay, and then the procedure now. What are the steps that you want to do? Okay, so let's say, okay, how can we find out if I can get a better sleep? Maybe I can test for 1 week. So 1 week I can sleep 7 to 8 hours, and then the next week I can sleep 5 to 6 hours. Okay, so I can go, step 1, sleep 7 to 8 hours for 1 week, and then step 2, sleep 6 to 5 hours the next week. Okay, and so again with the steps, it should be like the problem. The steps should be clear and observable and measurable. Okay, and then observations, that would be the data or the results. So after I sleep for the 8-hour week, I record, and then let's say, okay, this 5 to 6 hours the next week, and I record my results. And then the conclusion would be, what did I learn from the data? So let's say, for example, I found out I feel less tired the first week when I slept 8 to 7 hours. And so that would be what I learned, and that would be the conclusion. And I can also ask in the conclusion, was my hypothesis true? And in this case, it would be true. And then the evaluation. So the evaluation would be any changes that I would want to make to this experiment. or any new experiments I would want to conclude in the future. Okay? And so maybe, let's say, after doing this, I want to now find out, okay, so I found out I sleep better 7 to 8 hours a week, but now maybe I want to find out what time I should go to bed. You know, should I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night or at 11 o'clock? And so that could be an example of an evaluation, something I can do, a change that I can make to the experiment. And so, anyway, that is all for now, and I will talk about the claim data warrant model next video. Okay, so goodbye. You know, okay.